platform was created to motivate and to inspire in hopes that you will become a better you as we navigate through the clouds of life, empowering one another. I'd like to give a shout out to everybody that's listening all over the world. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Ross Cloud Podcast. Listen, this is our edition with our hostess with the mostest. Let's be clear. I don't want to forget my man, Jordan Wright. What's happening, Jordan?
Everything's good, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing wonderful, man. Had a little technical
Fantastic.
difficulty there right quick. Had to fix that. I'm glad you're doing all right, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, we are here at the International Black Theater Festival 2024. And it is fantastic. And we have our very, very special guest with us, Herman Levern Jones. How you doing, sir?
World out there, thank you for listening. Thank you for having me, Chris.
Right on. Listen, this right here, I'm super elated and super excited about having you here. Man, listen, we're going to drop some jewels today. You're going to get a history lesson as well about the conception of the international, going from national to the International Black Theater Festival. And hey, just sit back, relax, and just enjoy this ride on this cloud as we talk about the International Black Theater Festival right here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Mr. Jones, could you please kind of tell the folks from the beginning, if you would? It's on you, sir.
I will indeed. Thank you for having me again. And Jordan, good meeting you.
Good meeting you too.
In 1979, and I'm Herman Levern Jones of Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, Garner, North Carolina. Went to North Carolina State University, got my undergrad in there, got my master's degree at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in 1983. And upon getting that, I had worked with Chuck Davis of the Chuck Davis Dance Company, and had toured West Africa before I went to college, and actually met Chuck while I was in college. And the most incredible thing happened. I went to South Africa and went to West Africa, and I was asked by one of the producers of this tour with Chuck Davis that once I got my degree from grad school, come to New York. Well, in 1982, I made that promise that I would. 1983, when I graduated, I went to New York City, and I was actually working with Lena Horne. That was my very first gig when I got to New York, working with her on 42nd Street. And consequently, about a year later, I got a job with Dr. Woody King Jr. at the New Federal Theater. And that's when my journey began. And the National Black Touring Circuit, which Woody King Jr. turned over to me to be the associate producer, I began touring about 30 or 40 of his productions that he had put together, and that became my introduction to the international market. And also, he was great friends with most superstars, and everybody in listening land, look up Woody King Jr., Godfather of Black Theater. So I segued to 1979 before I finished college, and I met Larry in the Appalachia conference about theater, and he came in looking like Jimi Hendrix, right? The big hair, hey brother, I'm Larry Leon, you need to know who I am, my brother. Like, who are you? I said, I'm Herman Levern Jones. You need to change that to Herman Levern Jones. And I was like, who is this brother? I said, Lord have mercy. I got one on my hands now. So I remembered him, loved him, and I had created my own theater company in Raleigh, North Carolina, called the Levern Players, spelled like my daughter's middle name, L-A, capital V-E-R-N-E, Players. And then I created a piece with my wife, the Southeast Raleigh School of the Arts in Raleigh, and it became a steward for what I was trying to do. So I got a $50,000 grant from the city of Raleigh to produce a theater season, and I was 1979. I was 25, something like that. And so I took that $50,000 grant, and I reworked my grandmother's house on Smithville Street in Raleigh across from Shaw University. And I created a theater in her home. I took out walls. I made the kitchen, the tech booth. I put an amphitheater in the backyard. And I was one of the most novel people in the history of Raleigh, especially for the arts, because I changed the kind of Victorian house into a theater house, a 99-seat studio, and work with the Shaw players and all of that.
Fantastic.
So all of a sudden, I'm in the theater. I'm training. I'm doing things. And when I met Larry in 1979, I had no idea that was a fateful meeting. So I'm gonna jump straight to what this is about. In 1987, we were in a conference called the Association of Performing Arts Presenters in St. Louis, and he and I happened to walk out of a show at the very same time because the show was marginal. It was good, but it was marginal, and that's when you could smoke in a building and all of that. And nobody else in the lobby, me and him, we started walking towards each other and said, "Hey, my brother, I think I know you. You Herman something, I can't remember. It's been about 9 years since we met." I said, "Herman Levern Jones." He says, "Well, I'm Larry Leon." And I said, "Okay, wow, man. Oh, you're Larry. Yeah, I got it, man. Hey, okay, cool, man. How you doing?" And he said, after I got a light from him and he got a light from me, he said, "I'm gonna create this project called the National Black Theater Festival." And this is 1987.
Wow.
And I said, "Cool, I know what each one of those words mean, but when you put that together, that's big. What is that?"
Yeah.
He says, "I don't know yet, but I know I got to do it because black theater is dying, period. There's only about 150 to 200 companies across the country, and it should be more. It should be 1,000. Black theater should be in every city that there is." And I said, "I agree. You know, I'm there with you." And we had to introduce ourselves the next day to this panel. And it got to me, and I stood up. I'm Herman Levern Jones out of New York with Woody King Jr.'s National Black Touring Circuit. And he stood up and said, "I'm with the North Carolina Black Repertory Company, and I'm going to do this thing called the National Black Theater Festival, and Herman is going to help me." Now, guys, that was the very next day after I met him after 9 years, and we hadn't had no conversation about it, no deal, we didn't even talk deal.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he threw me in the mix.
Yes, sir.
Now you're
Like
part of it.
Herman's helping me. Yeah, and there was 30, 40 people in the room, and I said, and they asked me, "Yeah, how y'all gonna work together?" I said, "We're gonna work together. We'll figure it out."
Right.
And we happen to be going on the same plane. I'm going to New York. He's coming back to Winston-Salem. So it was St. Louis to Charlotte, Herman to New York, Larry to Winston. And on that 2-hour plane flight, he asked me, what would I do? And I told him what I would do to help you organize it in the best way that I could and other things. And so he said, "Well, I want you to be on my national board." And I told him after we talked, I said, "Yeah, I'll do that." Segue 2 years later, around February of 1989, he says, "Man, listen, I want one of you and Woody King Jr.'s shows." And I said, "Okay." He said, "Well, I like that I Have a Dream project that you do." And that was I Have a Dream. Billy D. Williams had played Martin Luther King on Broadway. And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I sent him a contract. He got the contract, sent me back another contract. Once he sent me back another contract, it wasn't my contract. It was Tom Jones's contract. out of Jomanda Productions. I called him up. I said, you sent me the wrong contract. And he was very disturbed that his office had made that mistake. So ergo, I sent him back that contract. He sent me the contract that I was supposed to get. He says, please, can you come now? And I said, I can't come now. I'm going to London. But when I get back, I will come to Winston-Salem. LaGuardia to Greensboro Airport. He picked me up in a limousine. He brought me to 610 Coliseum Drive. That's the original office that I started working out of on May 10th, 1989. And we had 10 weeks to go. And when I got to the office, he introduced me to 6 people. I asked them how long had they been there. They said, we got here this morning. And I looked at Larry and I said, this crew got here this morning? He said, yes. I got them specially for you. I said, okay. How many of you have done theater? Raise your hand. One person that raised their hand and said they do theater. And I said, well, when was your last show? Middle school. So I said, yeah, I got my hands full. This is, and we got 10 weeks to go. And the critical thing was, I said, I can deal with that. I can train people.
Yes, sir.
I said, what about how much money do you have? And he says, I got $5,000.
Yes.
I said, that's wonderful.
Yes.
I said, thank you for the contract. We'll rock and roll with that. He says, no, that's all the money I got. And I ain't giving you the $5,000. I got stuff to do. I said, okay. Okay. So we'll talk about money at another point, but I'm gonna agree to work.
Yes.
So I said, well, where's my office? He had a big sprawling office, and he said, your office is next door. I said, that's the copy machine room. And there's, it's enough for a chair, and that's about it. He says, well, I'll take one of the file cabinets out. We can put that out here. Yeah. I'm gonna leave the copy machine in there. And this is your office. And it was about the size of this table that we're sitting at in total.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
3 by 6 or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Enough for me to sit. So went into his office. He had 3 stacks of paper that was about 6 foot high. All 3 stacks leaning in there, no filing system, none of that. And he said, I want you to help me to organize this. I said, I can, but okay, now that we're talking, okay, did you prepare any type of contract for me? I said, can you find it with these He looked up and down those columns and he reached in and pulled it out. I said, man, you had this stage, man. There's no way with about 10,000 to 20,000 sheets of paper that I'm looking at these 3 stacks that are about 6 foot high that you could just go to that. And we both laughed. He says, yeah, I knew where your stuff was. So
yes.
That's how we started.
Wow.
And my job was to help create the infrastructure of how all of this would look to the public.
Yes.
So I said, what theaters do we have? What type of marketing plan we need to work with? Where's the contract for the stars and all of that? And I have to give Dr. Woody King Jr. a lot of credit for how this worked. He helped us lock in Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou helped lock in Oprah Winfrey. And once we announced Oprah Winfrey was in it, it was on. I had to set up the box office in the office, had to set up the box office at the different theaters. There were 17 companies at the beginning.
Yes.
And at the end of 10 weeks, we had gotten from merchandising box office $1 million. So we went from 5,000 to 1 million in 10 weeks.
Fantastic.
Let me tell you, Mr. Jones, this story, first of all, it's almost like a practical joke gone right and not wrong. You know, a practical joke can go wrong.
Yes.
But this practical joke aligned itself so perfectly. 1989, when Oprah Winfrey was at she was the peak.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah.
What?
She was a young woman.
She was a young woman, yes.
She had broke through the ceiling and she was rocking and rolling.
Yes.
I mean, period. It was,
Period.
it was. So that first festival, we had Oprah Winfrey, Maya Angelou, Lou Gossett,
Yes.
Cicely Tyson, James
Yes.
Earl Jones, Debbie Allen, um, Antonio Fargas, Esther Rowe,
The greatest of
The
the
great-
great.
I mean, just these
Lou
names.
Gossett.
The list of names, and I remember seeing Lou Gossett.
Yeah, absolutely. Angela Bassett.
Yes.
And this, where we are now, was jam packed.
Yes.
It was an unbelievable setting in terms of all of the people
Yes.
that were in here. As a matter of fact, one of the days of that first festival, and I used to dress up every day. I was the guy that you could find because I was in a suit and tie
That's
every
right.
single day.
That's right. That's right.
Larry was upstairs a lot, but he had on purple and all of that, and
Yes, sir.
and the pomp and circumstance of all of this was absolutely tremendous.
Mhm.
And my daughter Bianca, who I believe you've interviewed,
Yes.
she was
Yes.
considered the first festival baby,
Oh
and
man.
it was
It's
incredible.
absolutely amazing. Yes.
Yeah,
Listen, man, I have goosebumps while you're sitting here talking
Yeah.
about it because I know for me, as I was talking with your daughter, I was birthed in this too as well, because my mom was a part of that first group too. And I just remember being someone who ushered as a kid. Me and my brother laugh about those tight vests and them cummerbunds.
right, exactly.
And then that tight pants, we couldn't hardly wear our pants.
Right, you're right.
It would be late at night and we would be in there ushering.
Yeah.
And my mom would say, hey, y'all just wait around and, we're going to get y'all situated. Give me just a minute. And the thing that I love is the trust value that we had, that Larry had, the group had, the team had, to just send your kids off to go be alone with,
Strangers.
The strangers.
I mean, complete strangers.
and nothing happened to us.
Right,
And there was such an accountability. We had to be professional.
right,
Mhm.
Don't you do that.
right.
It was almost like your mama was standing right
Right.
beside you.
Exactly.
And those days, they're not gone, but
They're forgotten.
they're forgotten.
Yeah.
They're not gone, but forgotten.
Yeah.
We had a incredible inner network here that was profoundly put together based on the trust. Thank you. Based on the trust that everybody was having in terms of let's make this work.
Mm-hmm.
Let's create the trust. Let's create
Yes.
the formatting
Yes.
that this would live to see another festival happen in 1991.
Yes.
And the whole idea of every 2 years was to be able to build it back, take that breather, build it back, come up with new ideas, come up with new companies, workshops, late night events, spoken word, African drumming. It had an array of activity. And one of the days during the first festival, the restaurant actually ran out of food.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah, and had to call on different food groups in the area to bring 3 Mack trucks in the back lot,
Wow.
and they were pulling food out and cooking it right on the spot.
Wow.
And Larry said, next time, Marriott, be prepared for this particular piece. Food, because when we come back from those shows, people are eating, they're hungry. So that paradigm changed.
Yes.
The Benton Convention Center, having the vendors there, the vendors mark has grown so incredibly.
Man.
So
Yes.
it's one of the largest vendors mart in the country when it comes and generates hundreds of thousands of dollars
Come
for
on.
Fantastic.
black
Yes.
folks.
Yes.
And I
That's
remember
beautiful.
Larry was telling me about this new word that he was coining called Marvtastic.
Yes. Yes.
Marvelous and fantastic put together. And I'm like, man, ain't nobody, what? Marvtastic? Hey, my brother, I'm Larry Leon. It's going to be Marvtastic.
Yes, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he always put a historically significant project in the country.
Yes.
And it turned into that. And we were funded by a variety of ways. My biggest memory was trying to get money from American Express, and they gave us $50,000, and it was amazing to get that confirmation. And then Reynolds gave money, and there was a gentleman named Ben Ruffin, the late Ben Ruffin.
God bless.
You can look him up. He was working for Reynolds, black man, one of their first employees, and he was at the corporate level. He mentored us as well into how to talk to and garner funding from any corporation that you go to. And now looking at the board in the back, there are major funders like these billion-dollar operations that are funding this, and I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed at it.
I can't even imagine what you feel like, Mr. Jones. Like, I can't even, just fathom that amount of pride, joy, just that moment that you have where you can stick your chest out and be like,
Well, I can tell you,
I mean, like, we did this. Like,
that first gala, and I'm sitting on the dais with all of these stars. And I came out of Raleigh, North Carolina, a little town called Garner.
Yes, sir. Very familiar, yes.
When I went to New York, I used to tell people I'm from Ghana. And they say, Ghana, West Africa? I said, no. Ghana, North Carolina. They said, spell it. I said, Garner.
Correct.
They said, that's Garner. Get your diction together, man. It's not Ghana. I said, where I'm from is Ghana.
That's right.
So I said, don't hate.
That's right, baby.
And so seeing this miracle, and there are other stories. I mean, when I was in undergrad, I got my degree from North Carolina State University.
Come on, man.
And they created a program for me called Interdisciplinary Studies to be able to get out of NC State. It was only about 120 to up against over 20,000 white and others at that school. So I was in one of those early classes that started in 1972. And I was taking theater, and that's a whole nother story how I actually got in. But a white guy asked me after I was in, he said, do you know black theater? And I said, no. He says, what's that? He says, black theater. He says, imagine what that could be. And he's challenging me now. He says, think, black folks telling their stories. Well, there's this guy named Woody King Jr. and Ron Milner. They put together an anthology. And I went to the library and they actually had that anthology. And I looked up Woody King. I said, I hope one day I get to even meet this guy. Ends up, I worked with him for 17 years. That's how God works, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Facts.
Ron Milner, the late Ron Milner, playwright, I did my first production was No Place to Be Somebody by Charles Godin, Pulitzer Prize winning writer for that particular show.
Yes, sir.
And then I did Ron Milner's Who's Got His Own. I said, I hope one day I work with that playwright, and consequently I did. Yeah, listen, y'all, if there is a God, and I can tell you that it is one.
Yes.
That invisible energy that comes in, that spiritual energy that comes in.
I'm telling you.
I can tell you my life is a testimony to connectivity and being in the right spirit, in the right frame of mind to continue in the black theater world. Because it's hard.
Absolutely. It's not easy.
It's nothing easy about it.
Not at all.
But
you definitely run a marathon.
Right, exactly.
Yes, sir.
It's not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not.
But this has been incredible because of all of the connections that we have put together. We've already made billions of dollars.
It's insane.
Hundreds of thousands of people have come here.
Yes.
And to know that we started with a team of 8. 6, me and Larry, and of course Sylvia was there, but she was a librarian, and in the beginning it was up to me and Larry.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to be known in the listening world. Sylvia was very, very instrumental in our marketing because she was connected to the library system across the country, so she could send information. We didn't have our internet, but she could certainly pick up the phone, do some mailings and all of that.
Absolutely.
So I used to stay at their house here in Winston, and I slept on the sofa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we hear those stories, right? And a lot of times we don't believe them, but
No,
you. That's what I was gonna say.
yeah.
Yeah. This is a witness,
It's
a
from the
true
horse's
testament
mouth.
from the horse's mouth,
Yeah.
saying, like, baby, this is real art we talking about.
Yeah.
This ain't nothing to play with.
If
Yeah.
people go back in time, they had a split level house. You can go downstairs,
Yeah.
or you can go upstairs to the bedrooms. I would go
Mhm.
downstairs. The kitchen was on what I would call the first floor. You could overlook the where the sofa was,
Yeah.
and Sylvia would cook for us, and
Wow.
then me and Larry would stay up all night talking about what the next day would be. So we would always get up at around 7, excuse me, and work until 11 or 12,
Yeah.
and then that was it.
Yeah.
And we also had this game that we played called racquetball, and I introduced Larry to racquetball. I've been playing since college,
Right. Right.
and that energized and kept us in a camaraderie. And Larry couldn't beat me for years, right? I was
Right.
like 500-0, you know, and I would talk smack, and
Yeah, of
boy,
course.
he would be mad as all get out.
Yes.
And then
of
this
course.
one day, about the 4th festival,
Yes.
and Larry was, when he committed to something, he was totally committed. He joined the Racquetball Association of America and got gloves and a bag, and
man.
he did a super dive.
Yes.
And I said, all of that don't matter, man. My racket is 20 years old, man. I'll
Yes.
still whoop your behind. But this one day, he beat me.
Woo.
Like he was up 19-10.
Yes.
I'll never forget it. And 21 was the game, and you got to win by 2. And I normally just turn on the Jets, and because but he had gotten better, and so it got to be 15-20, and he was serving, and I was like, oh no, I got to get on my horse because it got another point.
Yeah.
Then it was 20-19, and I went for my shot. I missed it. It was his serve, and he aced me. And he won his first game, and he was like, I told you, my brother, I'm gonna,
I can see him right now with the shades on.
Yeah. Hey, my brother, don't get it twisted. I can do this.
Yes,
So
sir.
It was a wonderful thing, man.
Man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful for us to see it too. As soon as you and Jordan begin to speak a little bit, shout out to you, Jordan, too, brother.
Man.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, man, for real.
Appreciate you.
Yes, for connecting the dots for us, man. This is what this is all about, too.
Yeah.
But just to hear those moments in time, those history moments, the legacy that's happening. I mean, right now as we speak, we don't know what's brewing right now.
Exactly.
I mean, when you think about that time frame, look at the time frame.
Yeah.
It's 2024.
I mean,
Yes.
AI exists, computers exist.
Yeah.
Just imagine what we're gonna be able to
Look
do.
at the equipment that you have amassed.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
It's a beautiful thing.
Just plug in.
Yeah. It's truly miraculous
Yeah.
where this is right now and how this has manifested itself,
Yes, it has.
and to know that it's going to continue regardless of life or death of as us as human beings.
Yes.
The institution of Black theater lives.
Yes, I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you
Yeah.
so much
Yeah, man.
for this time and this
I'm
time
sorry
of
it took
history.
so much time to tell. this
No,
story.
man, get out of here. We wish we could hear more, but we got a few people waiting in
Yeah,
line.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
as soon as Jordan came over, he tapped me. He was like, "You know what that is, don't you?"
Yeah.
So we started talking. And I was like, "What? This is what we're all about on this platform. We are. It just so happens that God is so great. This is our second time here, and it seems like each time we come, it gets better and better. it gets better and better.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see it continue to evolve the way that it is. Speaking of those vendors over there, I remember 2 years ago we were across the street, so we talked to all the vendors, a few filmmakers, a few playwrights. But the thing that stood out to me was, to your point, the vendors in the middle of the aisle. But there was this one side over here that was vendors from the front of the Benton Convention Center, if anybody's familiar with that, so all the way in the back. And it had a screening room over here, so somebody's playing a film over on the left side. So then on the other side was other selling your paint, your art. Like, I can't even imagine what it is. It might have the whole floors now, huh?
Listen, I would love to partner with you because there's some other ideas that are cropping up aside from the festival, some things that I would like to potentially implement.
Sure.
You have the equipment to make it happen.
Yes, sir.
It could evolve into a commercial aspect that's brewing from some of the educators and people that I'm working with.
Yes.
An idea that I have about, the expansion of Black theater here and other places.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
I know, man.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Listen, we
Thank you.
could talk to you all day long,
Yeah, of
Mr.
course.
Jones, but we got a few people. I want to be cognizant of their time.
Right.
And
Well,
your
let me do
time too
this.
as well. But please go ahead.
Let me
Put your plug
thank,
in, too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
let me thank you profoundly. HermanLevernJones.net. You can find me. You can Google Herman Levern Jones. And my theater company is www.theatersouth, spelled the English way, TheaterSouth.net. Telephone number is 786-580-7389. Looking for support. Let's keep this thing going.
Yes.
I just appreciate all of this. And my email is info@theatersouth.net. And Theater South is spelled the English way, TheaterSouth.net.
Yes.
And so it's coordinated that once you get on that, you'll get a chance to see. And lastly, I have my own website, Herman Levern Jones, HermanLev as in Victor, ERNJONES.net.
I love
And you get a chance to see, and you can Google Herman Levern Jones.
There it is.
Thank you guys. And,
I love it.
Thank you.
Blessings, and I will be talking with you, and I'm gonna get your information
Yes,
so
sir.
we can
Yes,
make
sir.
sure that we
Yes, sir.
stay connected
Yes,
from
sir.
now on.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
I hope you hear me.
I do hear you loud and clear. I got you.
All right.
I hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Jordan. This 24-year-old genius over
Yes,
here.
I
in
know,
the
right?
making. Yeah,
Thank you so
yeah.
much.
Looking like you about 13 or 14.
Don't he though?
Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah, he does though, don't he?
I'm just
you
saying.
right, man.
I say they
Yeah,
got
he
somebody
does.
out of middle school to help us, help these guys do it and
Yes,
learn. And
yes.
that's a great age to start.
You already know, man.
Jordan. Yeah, thank you,
Thank you,
man.
Mr. Jones.
Chris.
Yes, sir. You're
All right.
very welcome, Mr. Jones.
Blessings to all.
Right on, right
Bye-bye.
on. Listen, I hope that something was said to you that can help you become a better you. Listen, this is the Ross Clown Podcast. And again, this is the International Black Theater Festival 2024. And it is mom-tastic. And we'll be right back with more from the festival. Keep being great. Peace.